This lesson is to cover the new code editor. So the lesson does use a code editor that was brackets, so that's no longer available. And suggested code editor, if you are looking for a code editor to use, is Visual Studio Code. And of course, you can write code in any editor as long as you're sending and saving them as HTML, JS, and CSS files. They're going to run within any browser. So the code editor that I do suggest is Visual Studio Code. That's available at code.visualstudio.com. You can go over to there, select the version. They have a Mac version, a Windows, and a Linux version. Download the version that's right for you and your computer. And I've got it opened up here on the left-hand side. I've got the Chrome browser on the right-hand side. And currently what I'm using is the Visual Studio Code. So when you do start up Visual Studio Code, it's going to start you up with the welcome page. From here, you can select to create a new file. You can also see existing files that you've worked on. There's lots of help information for tips and tricks of using Visual Studio Code, various customizations for languages, coloring of the themes, and more. In addition, there's a lot of really good extensions. So you can open up the extension window by going to the Code and Preferences, selecting extensions, or you can use the shortcut to open the extensions. And from here, you can select and find recommended extensions, as well as you can see the ones that you currently have installed. The one that I usually prefer to use is the Live Server. So if you don't see that, you can always search for Live Server. And this is the one that's done by Rick Day. And what this will do is this is going to allow you to run a local web development environment. So if you do an install of the extension, that will allow you to run it within the projects. As long as you've got the file saved to a workspace, you're going to have the option to open Live Server. So within the pop-up window, if you press on a Mac, Control and click, that will open up the option for the Live Server, this pop-up window. Or on a Windows machine, you can right-click and select Open Live Server. You can also use the shortcuts to open Live Server. So what this does is this allows you to run within the local machine with the 127.00.1 address and the port address. So simulating essentially what you would have running on your web server. So again, this is optional. And if you already have an editor that you're comfortable with, you're free to use whichever editor you're most familiar with. So let's get started coding.